Hello and welcome to another edition of the Sports Writers on the Web. I'm Herald-Whig Sports Editor Donald O'Brien alongside Matt Schuckman and Blake Toppmeyer, getting you ready for another Friday night of football. Also some softball going on as well. You got some state golf going on this week, guys. But first and foremost, look toward the football fields, and both Quincy High and Notre Dame on the road this week, both with huge games for different reasons. Blake Toppmeyer for the Quincy High School Blue Devils. Their season really hangs in the balance going up to Rock Island on Friday night, does it not?
Right, and this is the game we've been looking at for a couple weeks, and maybe Quincy High was looking at it for a couple weeks as well, because they got a scare last week against your Silver Streaks.
Can never overlook the Silver Streaks.
But
all right, Chuck.
That's right.
Rallied with a good second half, and now they're going into a game where Rock Island needs a win to get to 5-4. The belief is if Rock Island gets to 5-4, that's going to be good enough for them to get into the playoffs. Quincy High, on the other hand, sitting at 4-3. They need to win out to get to 6-3 to get into the playoffs. More than likely, I don't see any way 5-4 is going to get it done for them. So they need to win. Both teams need wins. A lot of people in Rock Island making a big deal about this potentially being Vic Boblett's last game, and that's true. That will be a motivating factor for the Rocks. But as Rick Little told me this week, hey, we're not going to be short on motivation either. We need this win just as bad.
Bigger game or bigger for the offense or the defense on Quincy? I mean, I know Rock Island's got some talented guys on their offensive side of football. It's going to be a challenge for the defense.
I think it's going to be a tougher challenge, yes, for the defense. The key, I think, is going to be Quincy High usually gives up quite a bit of yardage defensively. What they're good at is forcing turnovers. They're going to need to do that again this week because Rock Island probably has the best running back in the conference in Brandon Richardson, which is high praise because there's a lot of good running backs in the Big Six. So I don't think you can completely shut him down, but if you can force 2 or 3 turnovers, I think you put yourself in good shape.
Quincy High season hangs in the balance on Friday night. Quincy Notre Dame knows they matched up when they have football games left after next Friday night. This one is for a conference championship against them and Richwoods. It seems like it's every year these two teams play. Yeah. It's for the conference championship in the Mid-State 6.
And it certainly has been. Previously, last year came down to week 5 of the conference season, or the last week of the conference season. Previous years, there was one game left after the Richwoods game. Mm-hmm. So there was still something in the balance there, but that game has decided the conference champion. Since Notre Dame joined the Mid-State 6, Richwoods is the only conference school to beat Quincy Notre Dame. So it is a big game in that regard. It's a bigger game in the regard of what does Notre Dame finish the season with record-wise. They can win this week, win next week against Waterloo, you go into the playoffs 8-1. 8-1 versus 7-2, big difference. One, you might probably get a home game at 8-1. You might not get one at 7-2. And who you match up against. Even bigger deal there. If you're 8-1, you're drawing a 6-3 or a 7-2. If you're 7-2, the way things have been lately, you may get stuck with a 9-0 team, or having to go to a 9-0 team or an 8-1. Total, this game is really big for that reason. Conference title, yes, that's important, but they're in the playoffs. Where they go in the playoffs, how their playoff run stacks up, is vital on this Friday night.
So where's Coach Connell pitching to his boys this week? Where's the motivation coming from, Chuck Daddy?
Well, I think it's to prove to the people in Peoria, in the Mid-State 6, that Notre Dame is the best team in the league. Everybody's talked about how Richwoods turned its season around after starting 0-3. They've won 4 straight. They're the best rushing offense in the Mid-State 6. Okay, your defense is the best rushing defense in the Mid-State 6. Go out and prove your defense is better than their offense.
2 months ago, we would have never had this conversation listening to you in the preseason. You were not very high on this Notre Dame team. The fact that they're talking about conference championships, the fact they're talking about a possibly long postseason run has got to be shocking to you.
It is. It's very surprising. I didn't realize their defense was going to be as good as it has been, especially up front. Their defensive ends are relatively small. They do have some big tackles in Nick Reichert and Brad Wellman. Jack Finley's another kid with some size there in the middle. But, and then you pile on the injuries on top of it. They lost 3 starting linebackers to injuries this year. Now, 1 returns this week in Luke Hincamper. Chad Thompson and Nick Wyman are done for the season. But to go through that, continue to have success, continue to shut teams down, that's impressive.
It's getting to be the most important time of the year in Missouri. Real quick, district play starts in our area. Where are their district championships coming from? I'll throw out a handle. I think it's kind of given that they're going to win their Class 4 district. What about some of the smaller school guys? Where you looking at for some district champions?
Well,
not the second placers because they also
right.
get in.
You got a Class 2 district with 4 area teams in Clark County, Monroe City, Palmyra, and Highland. So obviously we're going to have a local team there. Clark County is the favorite. I talked to Kevin Miles earlier this week, Palmyra's coach, and even he admitted Clark County's the favorite. You know, he didn't say it's going to be a race for second, but I think it is in that district going to be, the 3 other teams looking at second place. So I like Clark in that district. Chuck?
Well, I think if you look at the Class 1 schools, South Shelby is in the same district as Louisiana. South Shelby's your favorite. South Shelby, even though it's been a down year for the Cardinals in terms of record, they still played a lot of bigger schools leading up to this. They should be ready to make a run at a district title. And Knox County, that district seems pretty wide open. You got Knox, Scotland County, and Schuyler County. I think Knox could be the one that sneaks out of there with the title.
Got a couple big softball games. One that's been postponed. Palmyra will be playing Thursday. Chuck, you're about ready to take off over to Brookfield to watch Highland Brookfield. When we sit here next Wednesday, how many softball teams are we going to be talking about?
I think there's still going to be 2. I think Highland's going to surprise some people and end up with a shot at playing on the opposite bracket of Palmyra. Right. That's the interesting part of this. You could have Palmyra and Highland playing each other for a state title if everything falls in place.
I think Highland wins their sectional game. I think Highland falls in the quarterfinals, and I think Palmyra gets to state. So I'll take Highland to win 1 more. Okay. I'm not sure I'm buying for 2 more.
All right, we'll see which one of these clowns is right next week. You've been watching Sports Writers on the web. Check in with us again next week.